Evelyn Ward is my lawful wife, the mother of the 3 baloney children, and a co-sponsor of tonight's Foundation preview.
On the day I signed the divorce papers, I was ordered to leave with nothing. When I walked out of the Crane estate, I had $26 in my wallet and nowhere safe to go. My phone was nearly dead when a message from an old classmate appeared on the screen, linking to a discreet placement notice. I stopped at the word protection. A roof, a meal, and a place the Crames could not reach me was already more than I had that night. The address led me to the iron gates of an old mansion on Chicago's Gold Coast. Only after the butler opened the door did I learn who had placed the notice. Dante Bellani, the Don of Chicago's oldest Italian crime family. I had only wanted a place to stay. Somehow, I became the legal mother of the 3 Bellici children and the contract wife of Dante Bellani himself.
You passed last night's interview.
You want me to marry you?
Now I need to give them someone who can stay.
Later, my ex-husband Sebastian Crane stood before me with the same careless arrogance and asked,
"Do you realize you were wrong now?"
Before I could answer, the triplets stepped in front of me. Little Livia clung to my leg, her eyes red.
My mom wasn't wrong.
Her 2 brothers stood on either side of her, staring Sebastian down. Dante placed one hand at my waist, his voice calm enough to make the air turn cold.
Mr. Crane, my wife owes no explanation to a man who lost the right to speak to her.
I never imagined a luxury childcare ad would lead me to the most dangerous family in Chicago. The Bellundi estate sat behind black iron gates on the Gold Coast. Its family crest worked in black and gold above the entrance. The butler who came to meet me introduced himself as Enzo.
I manage this house.
His gaze moved over my rain-soaked coat, then to the worn handbag in my hand. I wished I could hide it.
Miss Ward, this house does not hire women to decorate a room or charm the Don. If you enter, the children's needs come first. The household rules second. Your curiosity last. Do not ask about locked doors. Do not repeat names you hear. Do not promise the children anything you cannot keep.
I tightened my grip on my bag and nodded. I understand. I won't cross any lines. 8 hours earlier, I had signed my divorce papers. Sebastian Crane's lawyer slid the documents across the table.
Mrs. Crane, according to the premortal agreement, you have no claim to any Crane family assets and no right to remain in the house.
I lowered my eyes to the papers. Is that all? The lawyer hesitated for a moment.
Mr. Crane also asked his assistant to pass along a message.
I looked up.
If she wants to leave, let her leave clean.
Sebastian did not even come. I signed my name and walked out of the house I had lived in for 3 years with $26 in my wallet. He led me through the corridor.
Heart beats fast, colors and promise.
I knew his face. Dante Bellani, the current Don of the Bellani family. Rumor said he had inherited the family at 17 and rebuilt a collapsing old empire through dock unions, private casinos, import companies, and negotiations no newspaper ever printed. His gaze settled on me.
She's the applicant.
Enzo lowered his head.
Yes, Don.
Dante handed the rosary to Enzo.
Return it to the chapel. The man confessed enough.
Then he turned toward the dining room. The room was far more chaotic than I expected. Dinner sat untouched on the long table. A boy of about 6 sat in front of a chessboard, his face stern.
You promised to finish this game with me.
Another boy stood beside a chair with a blanket clutched in his arms. His eyes were red with sleep, yet he was still demanding a bedtime story from Dante. The youngest child sat in a high chair, crying so hard her cheeks had gone red. She held a white rabbit toy in one hand, and the bowl in front of her had not been touched.
I won't eat another one.
Dante stood among all 3 children, his brow drawn tight. This man could silence a dock union and force rival families to step back, yet a chessboard, a bedtime story, and a little girl refusing dinner had trapped him beside his own table. Enzo spoke quietly.
Don, Miss Ward is here.
Both boys looked at me. One studied me with cold attention. The other looked openly annoyed. The little girl buried her face in the rabbit toy and cried harder. Dante turned to me. Hey. Need a hand with anything?
Name.
Evelyn Ward. He nodded once, then looked at the boys.
Mateo, Nico, upstairs.
The game isn't finished.
Tomorrow.
What about my story?
The younger one demanded, clutching his blanket tighter.
2 chapters tomorrow.
The boys started upstairs with obvious reluctance. At the landing, they stopped and kept watching. Dante bent down, picked up the crying little girl, and carried her to me.
Gloria,
His voice dropped.
look at me.
Gloria lifted her head with a broken sob, tears caught in her lashes.
You have to eat tonight.
She turned her face away and hid against the rabbit again. Dante stayed silent for a few seconds before turning the child toward me.
Get her to eat 3 bouts, and you can stay tonight.
The butler, the maids, the guards, and the 2 boys on the stairs all looked at me. I looked at the trembling little girl and slowly loosened my grip on the strap of my bag. My divorce papers were still folded at the bottom of it. And the $26 in my wallet reminded me that even a dangerous house had more to offer than a rainy street. Food, and a door that could close behind me. I set my handbag down by my feet and smoothed my wet coat. Give me a napkin and a pen. When the maid brought the napkin and pen, the dining room was quiet except for Livia's broken sobs. I did not move toward her right away. Dante was still holding her. Her shoulders shook as she cried, but her fingers stayed locked around the white rabbit toy in her arms. I crouched down until my eyes were level with hers. What's its name? Livia looked at me through tears. I nodded toward the rabbit. I mean her. She pulled the toy closer to her chest and whispered,
Pearl.
Miss Pearl. I nodded. That's a beautiful name. Faint snot came from the staircase land. I did not turn around. Livia stared at me with the wary look of a cornered animal. One of the maids lowered her head. Enzo's expression shifted slightly. Dante's arm tightened around her. Tonight, I only want you to eat dinner. Whether your father likes me is not my job. Lova's crying paused. I drew 3 small boxes on the napkin, 3 bites. After each bite, you mark 1 box. When all 3 boxes are full, I leave the table and you decide whether I'm opened. I had no idea whether I would still be here tomorrow, so I only said, I want tonight. Not tonight. Lyra watched me for a long time. Then she pushed the napkin toward me and said softly,
You can come back tomorrow.
Dante watched me, and something finally shifted in his gray eyes. He did not praise me. He only turned to the maid.
Heat another bowl of soup.
The maid answered at once. Enzo stepped forward.
Dawn, I'll have a guest room prepared. 2nd floor.
Dante said. Enzo glanced up. Dante's tone did not change.
The room beside the nursery.
Enzo lowered his head again.
Understood.
When I stood, my knees were slightly numb from crouching too long. Before I could reach for my bag, the 2 boys had already come down from the stairs. Mateo reached me first. He handed me a broken music box with a ballerina on the lid, one of her arms missing. He said,
It's broken.
I took it from him. I can try. Nico moved more slowly. As he passed me with his blanket in his arms, he muttered,
She doesn't like milk too hot, and she doesn't like strangers touching her hair.
Then he seemed to regret saying so much and ran back upstairs. Luria was still sitting in the high chair, her face streaked with tears, but her eyes stayed on the music box in my hand. Dante came to stand beside me. his gaze falling on the old music box.
You handled children's fear well.
I just didn't rush to touch her. He looked at me again, more carefully this time.
Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, my study.
At 8 the next morning, Enzo opened the study door for me. Dante sat behind a long table in a black suit, the 2 documents from last night waiting in front of him. I stopped at the edge of the table. I thought I was here to take care of the children.
You passed last night's interview.
Dante pushed the papers toward me.
Now I need to give them someone who can stay.
He spoke with the calm of a man discussing terms, not feelings.
The Belli family has enemies watching my children. A regular nanny can't enter the security system, sign medical authorizations, or represent them at school and family events. Livia has seen too many people leave. She needs a mother written into the law.
You want me to marry you? I sat down. You want me to marry you?
On paper.
Where would I live?
2nd floor. The room you used last night. Mine is on the 3rd.
How far do my duties go?
Care for the 3 children. Help them adjust to a normal life. Attend family events as Mrs. Belli when necessary.
And marital obligations? Dante turned the contract to one page and tapped a line with his finger.
There is no such clause.
I read it twice before asking. What about money?
A personal operating account will be opened under your name. Household expenses come from the family account. Anything transferred to your private account stays yours.
Even if we divorce?
Even then.
I looked at the contract. I've signed an agreement before. In the end, I walked away with $26. Dante turned to the lawyer.
Add a clause. All funds transferred to Evelyn Ward's personal account during the marriage remain her separate property. The Belli family may not reclaim them after divorce, separation, or instead of this agreement.
The lawyer began reviving at once. Dante looked back at me.
Caring for children is labor. The Belli family does not take labor for free.
The Crane family never called it labor.
Then they were poorer than they looked.
For a moment, I thought of the Crane house, where cooking, cleaning, laundry, and childhood had all become unpaid work once the Nancy was dismissed. On the day of the divorce, they said I had lived off them for 3 years. I pressed my fingers around the pen. One more thing. If the children don't need me someday, can I leave?
Yes.
You won't stop me?
I'll compensate you according to the agreement. And make sure you're protected.
He did not rush me. The contract was dangerous, but its terms were clear. The contract gave me conditions, boundaries, and a way out. At last, I signed. After the lawyer collected the papers, Dante opened a black velvet box. Inside Matteo still did not talk much. When I worked on the broken music box, he sat nearby with a book and reminded me which screw not to touch. Nico complained that I read too slowly, yet every night he was the first to shove a storybook into my hands. Dante usually left early and returned late. Sometimes, when I went downstairs after midnight to warm milk for Livia, I would find him at the end of the dining table with papers spread before him and men standing nearby with quiet reports. When he saw me, he only asked,
She's awake again.
I would nod, and he would have his men step aside. On the 7th morning, I told Enzo I needed to go out. The music box repair shop had called. The old ballerina could be fixed, but I had to bring the missing part that Falcieri had found under Livia's dresser. Before I could answer, Livia ran down the stairs with Pearl in her arms.
You're going out?
To repair your music box, and to pick up medicine. Her fingers tightened around Pearl.
I'm going too.
In the end, all 3 children climbed into the car. Enzo stood by the door.
Miss Livia has not willingly left the gate since her mother disappeared.
I looked into the car. Leah sat with Pearl in her lap, her eyes fixed on me. As long as I was there, she seemed able to endure everything beyond the window. The repair shop was a narrow place in Little Italy, filled with clocks, brass keys, and glass cabinets of old mechanical toys. Laura stood on a stool at the counter while the owner opened the music box. Matteo leaned close, tracking each movement. Nico pretended not to care and kept asking whether there was a bakery nearby. The owner fitted the tiny arm back on the ballerina, wound the key, and set the box down. Music trembled out. Lyra held her breath until the ballerina began to turn.
She's dancing again.
When we stepped outside, Dante was already waiting by the curb. He stood beside his car with a black coat over one arm and 2 guards behind him. His gaze settled on the children walking calmly at my side and stayed there for a long moment.
Enzo called. He told me they all left the house.
Livia held the repaired music box against her chest.
I didn't cry.
Dante lowered his eyes to her.
I can see that.
Nico added.
She only crushed 1 candy in the car.
Lyra immediately tried to step on his shoe. Dante looked from them to me, his voice lowering slightly.
Thank you.
That night, Dante came to the 2nd floor sitting room with a set of keys.
If you're going to take them out again, you need a car that does not announce my name 3 blocks away.
I looked down at the keys. That sounds unusually practical for a Don.
You may be the first person in Chicago to accuse me of practicality.
The next morning, an old dark green Volvo was parked outside the garage. It looked wildly out of place beside the line of black armored cars. Lyra pressed herself against the window.
Pearl says she loves the green one.
Dante stood on the steps, watching the children circle the car. I walked over and said quietly, "Thank you."
The guards will follow when you take them out.
I know.
If anything happens, call me.
I nodded and opened the car door. Lyra climbed in first. Matteo and Nico followed. As the door closed, Dante remained where he was, watching the 3 faces in the window. Only then did I understand that he had given me more than a room in a guarded house. He had placed the softest part of his life in my hand. A week after the Volvo appeared, I took the triplets to the preview hall of the Bologna Children's Arts Foundation. Dante's family funded the annual charity auction, and one wall had been reserved for drawings from children across the city. Lorvi's picture of Pearl had been selected. Lorvi stood in front of it, silent and pink-cheeked, while Matteo adjusted the little name card under the frame. Nico grinned.
Look, Pearl looks like a bunny princess.
I was kneeling to fix the ribbon on Livia's dress when a familiar voice sounded behind me.
Evelyn.
My fingers paused. Sebastian Crane stood near the champagne table in a perfectly tailored gray suit, his hair immaculate. Behind him, a young aide held a portfolio, stamped with the Crane Foundation seal. Only a few weeks had passed since the divorce. He looked untouched by all of it. His gaze moved from my hands at Livia's hem to the 3 children around me. A slow smile formed on his face.
I almost didn't recognize you. Ivy League graduated. And now you're dressing Mafia children for charity photos? Is this really your life now?
Livia held Pearl tighter and moved closer to me. Nico's face darkened at once. Matteo said nothing. His eyes moved briefly to Sebastian's aide, then to the security badge on the man's lapel. I stood and kept my voice steady. Sebastian, move. He gave a low laugh, as if I had said something amusing.
Still stubborn.
His eyes dropped to the obsidian crest on my crest coat, but recognition did not reach him.
I suppose life outside the Crane family has taught you something by now. No matter how much you complained before, at least you were Mrs. Crane. What are you now? A nanny with a borrowed brooch?
We're divorced.
That doesn't change the fact that you were my wife.
Sebastian's voice cooled.
When people mention you, they still think of the Crane name. Showing up here as hired help for the Bellandis makes me look ridiculous.
Nico stepped forward, but Matteo caught him by the sleeve. Livia looked up at me and asked softly,
Why is he talking to you like that?
because he's used to it. Sebastian frowned.
Evelyn, don't act tough in front of children. You left me because you wanted me to regret it. Fine. I admit you surprised me.
He raised a hand, reaching for my shoulder the way he used to. I stepped back. His hand stopped in midair, and his expression sharpened.
Enough. The other women meant nothing. I haven't let anyone move into your room. The position of Mrs. Crane is still empty.
I looked at him and felt as if I was looking at a stranger. Once, I had waited for his explanation. I had waited for an apology. Now he stood in front of me, offering the empty place beside him, as if I should be grateful. I'm not interested. Sebastian's eyes darkened.
You're not in a position to say that. He lowered his voice. How much money do you have left? Do you really think the Bellotti family will treat you as one of their own? Once they're done with you, you won't even have a way back.
He glanced at the triplets, his smile turning colder.
Taking care of 3 Mafia children, Evelyn. You'll do anything to prove a point.
Matteo's eyes went completely cold. Nico clenched his teeth.
Shut up!
This is between adults.
Livia hugged Pearl, her eyes slowly turning red. I drew her behind me. Sebastian, I'm telling you one last time. Move. Instead, he seemed to regain the upper hand. That familiar superiority returned to his voice.
Admit you were wrong, Evelyn. Go back and apologize to my mother and my sister, and I may let this ugly little performance end.
The noise of the preview hall seemed to pull away. Then Livian let go of my hand and stepped in front of me with Pearl clutched to her chest. Her small body was trembling, but her voice rang out clearly.
Who said she was wrong?
After Livia spoke, the conversations in the hall dropped low. She stood in front of me with Pearl in her arms, her small shoulders still trembling, her red eyes stubborn. Sebastian looked down at her, as if he had only just realized a child had challenged him in public.
Little girl, when adults are talking.
She wasn't wrong.
Livia cut him off, her voice clearer than before.
You can't talk about her like that.
Nico immediately stepped beside her, his event book shirt crumpling in his fist.
You heard her. She said you can't.
Is this how the Bologna family teaches its children?
Matteo moved to my other side and shielded Livian half a step behind him. He did not rush to argue the way Nico did. He only lifted his eyes to Sebastian's name bag, his voice far too calm for a child.
Sebastian Crane. You just insulted a guest of the Belli Foundation at its own preview event. And then you called Belli children ill-mannered.
Guests began to slow around them, and the men beside Sebastian quietly lost their smiles. He finally understood that this was not the Crane family dinner table, nor a place where he could lecture anyone as he pleased.
I love you for 1,000